As a podcaster, I find it is a good idea to listen to other podcasters. Not that I want to steal their ideas, but, well, that kind of is what I'm doing here. One of my weekly go-to podcasts is The Habit, which is produced by Jonathan Rogers and The Rabbit Room, which is an organization I recommend. He recently interviewed a writer named Joyce McPherson, and it came up in the podcast that she lives on Lookout Mountain, which is very close to where I live. Well, I can see Lookout Mountain from my house, actually. I contacted her, and she is our guest on this episode. She's a prolific author and has many other roles, all of which I think you will find fascinating. Welcome, Joyce McPherson. And may I call you Joyce?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Thank you for talking with me today. And I have to say we had some technical problems that she was able to help me with. I think we have found out so far that we know some of the same people, but our paths have not crossed yet.
That's right.
Yeah, which is interesting. I have a lot of questions and topics to talk about today with you because you are a person with many roles and many talents and gifts. But I want to start with your life as who you are as a mother and a Christian and as a person, an educator, and how that led to the other achievements. So I want to start with, you have 9 children. Is that correct?
Yes. And they're all grown up.
They're all grown up. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, that in itself is an achievement. And we probably need to do a whole podcast just on that, of how does someone raise 9 children. The president of the college I worked for many years, the most recent president has 12 children and is a beautiful family. So I'm just always amazed by moms who have, I'll say, over 5 children. I only had 1, so I can't, I don't have a whole lot of room to talk. And I understand on top of that you homeschooled them. Is that correct?
Yes. And I loved it. And I think for moms with a lot of kids, it's a way to have quality time with all your kids. It worked out very well for us. I think in some ways, homeschooling can actually be easier than driving kids to various schools. When you have a spread, you might have high school, middle school, elementary. But it worked well for us. And I just loved education and loved spending time with my kids. It was great.
That's wonderful. Did all of it take place in this part of the country?
No, we had our first 10 years of homeschool in Florida, and then we moved to Tennessee.
Okay.
And the legislation was a little different in those days between the 2 states. Florida required that you made a year of progress for each student. And so they were evaluated, whereas Tennessee required that you documented you had 180 days. And I found that a profound difference between the 2 systems, but it worked beautifully for us. We were nervous at first, but we discovered that kids just are like sponges, and they will make up for the failings of their parents, and they'll learn everything they need to know. So it worked very well for us.
Well, one thing I always thought, in comparing with public school at least, that there's unfortunately a lot of wasted time because of the crowd control issues and things like that in public schools. So you can do a whole lot more in homeschooling in less time. Let's put it that way.
And my husband and I went to public school, and we had good experiences there. But I do think there's wasted time in the system, and we thought we could do it better. And I think we did. My kids have no way to compare, so they don't know. But I do have 2 of our kids have children, and they're homeschooling or planning to homeschool.
Okay.
I think that's really exciting.
So those are the 2 that have given you grandchildren so far?
And yes, and they are, very bookish kind of families. And I think if you're bookish, homeschool is so fun.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It would be easier because you have to depend more on reading. So
yes.
So I would say you're probably an expert on homeschooling, which I think comes into your to your writing and other things as well. And you said you weren't homeschooled. So
Yeah.
at any point you weren't?
No, I was a product of public school.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different experience from my own children.
So other than that time element, was there another reason that you chose to do the homeschooling route?
Well, we did want to make sure that our faith was integrated with education. And that was a wonderful blessing of homeschooling for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was probably our number one reason. And what we realized when you homeschool, it becomes your hobby. You end up studying about it. And we realized that all education is imbued with a worldview. It was important to us that our children had a biblical worldview as they learned. And that I would say really was our number one reason for homeschooling.
Okay. And may I ask what your husband's profession or role is?
He's a radiologist.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He reads x-rays and CAT scans and those kinds of things.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. So as far as once you were out of, K through 12, where did you go next?
Well, my kids were starting to get very, very independent in their homeschooling. So for my last two, I ended up going back to school and getting a master's of fine arts in creative writing for children.
Oh.
And so I was doing my homework next to my last two kids, which was also a fun experience. I think I work with college kids now, and some of them are very nervous that you have to pick your major right now when you're 18.
Yeah.
But as you and I know, Barbara, now that we're grandmothers, you can keep creating new callings your whole life.
Right.
And I had been writing when the kids were little and then took off for a while. And I thought, I want to learn how to be a better writer. So I went back to school, and the program I went to was low residency, which meant that we only spent 10 days twice a year together, and the rest of the time was independent. So it kind of was like homeschool masters. But it also had a pedagogy track where you could study how to teach writing. And when I took that, I realized I love teaching. And that's probably one reason I was drawn to homeschooling. But that inspired me to then get a doctorate in learning and leadership from our local university.
Yes.
So as I graduated the same day as my seventh child graduating from college, which is really fun.
Remarkable.
Yeah. So I just would encourage people, you have different seasons in life. I had for about 10 years where I did not try to write just because I needed to focus on the children. But there are other seasons in life. So you always have new opportunities. And I want to remind people of that.
Well, that's so true. That's so amazing. Because the whole, I taught college students for 47 years. And, the whole idea that at 18, you're supposed to know what your life is just, for most people, is just doesn't work. It's odd that we even have that system. So what was your undergrad?
Interestingly, it was dietetics. So I was a dietitian for 4 years.
Okay.
Totally different from writing. And I did do a lot of undergrad classes in creative writing. Just loved it. And then I retired from dietetics when our first child was born. So I was then a full-time mother many years.
Yeah. Well, 9 children, you're going to be full-time. So can I ask you what institution was that with your MFA?
It was Solstice, which is now at LaSalle University.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's one of the most diverse programs, and it's a very reasonable price compared to. So I really enjoyed the atmosphere there. It was.
Where's it located?
I guess it's near Boston.
Oh, okay.
It used to be in Pine Manor College, which was just outside of Boston. And I think it's still in the area, but it's changed institutions since I graduated.
Okay. Now, are you originally from Florida or from another part of the country?
No, I'm from near Washington, D.C.
Oh, you're kidding. Where?
Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh, okay. I grew up on the other side in Prince George's County.
Yay! It's a great area. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going up there in a couple weeks for a conference and to see family. So
Wonderful.
okay. That's so interesting. Yeah. Okay. So now that I know more about your college background and your grad school and doctorate, and can I ask you what you did your dissertation on? This is such a combination.
Yes, I had worked for years with high school and middle school students doing a summer Shakespeare camp. So that was the focus of my dissertation, and I studied active learning and how it impacted basically the experience of Shakespeare camp. It was a fun project.
Oh, yeah.
About 90 students by that time participating in camp. So we had a good database. We did qualitative and quantitative analysis. And I really learned a lot that I've now used in my composition class at Covenant College. And I believe that we learn by doing, especially in writing and appreciating literature. So yeah, that was a great project.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. It's great. You could use that, and as part of your doctorate, because the dissertation thing can be so. Well, it stops a lot of people. I mean, it's a lot of people and I know them. They just never finish because it's so daunting for them, and it is. I mean, especially if you haven't written anything long before.
That's true.
It just seems like such a long thing. So going back to the podcast on the habit with Jonathan Rogers, you told a story that your mother advised you about writing as a young mother. Could you tell that?
Well, I was expecting my second child, and my mom said, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "Well, when the children grow up, I want to write books." And she said, "Why don't you start now?" And I thought, well, why not? So I started waking up just a little early before my toddler and doing a little bit of writing. And I discovered that I could get a lot done in 30 to 45 minutes. And in between, I would be thinking about potential ideas for my writing. And then the next day, I'd get up early and get a little bit more done. And in that way, I finished my first book. And it takes a long time when you do it that way. But I do find that writing is one of those processes that you need to be prepared to revise probably 3 times as much as you actually write. And in a sense, slowing me down prepared me for the life of a writer. It is a very, very slow process. And it was neat that I could just get a little bit done, little by little. And I wrote a biography for middle grade readers with the idea that I wanted young people to know that some of the greatest minds in history believed in Jesus. And so it's kind of my starting point. And I wrote about Blaise Pascal, who at that time, there was not a children's biography about him. He was a popular, though, this is like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a popular example in sermon illustrations or apologetics, because in addition to being a renowned scientist, he also wrote apologetics. So I enjoyed kind of bringing that together and showing kids that you don't have to check your brain at the door when you have. So, yeah.
So how did you get that first book published?
Well, I sent it to Greenleaf Press, which did history books for homeschool populations. And they were interested in getting more biographies out there. That's kind of how they taught history, was through the stories of people. And I guess it was just a good connection. So I ended up writing 4 more books over about 10 years for them. And that was a fun process.
Okay. So, and what were the other ones about?
Well, I wrote about Isaac Newton. That one is called The Ocean of Truth. That's probably the best selling because everybody's heard of Isaac Newton. I also wrote about Albert Dürer, who was an artist.
Oh, yes.
And that book is The Artist of the Reformation. And then I wrote John Calvin's story, which is called The River of Grace. And at that time, there was no other young person's book on John Calvin. So that was really a fun. It ended up being translated into Korean for an anniversary year of the Reformation. Then I wrote William Tyndale's story. And by the way, this year is the 500th year anniversary of Tyndale's first Testament that was published. It wasn't the whole Bible, but it was New Testament that was published in English. And so we have 500 years of the legacy of Tyndale's work in translating scripture. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So most of those then were pretty far back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like 400 or 500 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you go about the research for those?
Well, in my first book, which was 40 years ago, I would go to academic libraries, and I found Blaise Pascal's sister had written a short biography of him in French, and that was my minor in college. And so I was able to translate and use primary sources. And then I ended up going on a trip with my family to see some of the places in France, which helped a lot. But in 40 years, things have completely changed. And now, if you want to find primary sources, you can use archive.org, for example, and find books that are out of print even as primary sources. And there are wonderful image collections of famous places or a view from the street. I've even used Google Maps where I walk on the street and look and kind of get a feel for where the buildings are when I'm writing a biography, and I need to get that kind of information. So things have changed a lot in 40 years, but I do find if you're writing history, whether it's historical fiction or biography, it helps to find primary sources. So I do recommend that. And actually, once you get started, it's so fun. You kind of don't want to start writing the book. You keep thinking,
yes,
I could get something else, So, yeah.
Well, I recently, it was 2 years ago, I published a historical fiction book, and I never feel like I've researched enough. That's kind of the dissertation thing. You always feel like you have to reread something else that's, so, and I just felt like I needed to read more, but eventually you have to write. So, you also mentioned that at one point you decided to use indie publishing or self-publishing tools. And how did you come to that crossroad?
Yes. Well, when I went for my master's in writing, I created some fiction books for middle grade readers. And I could not find a publisher or agent for those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Sunday school teacher. And so I was like, well, I want to get these out to my kids. And of course, my Shakespeare kids. And I just have so many young people in my life. I thought I just want them to get to read these books. So KDP.com was just coming out with the option to, in fact, it was Create Space maybe in those days.
Right.
They had the option to publish physical books, and it cost nothing. They were print on demand. So Amazon would take their cut. And usually when you publish with a real publisher, you get maybe a 10% royalty. And so that was quite reasonable. It's easy to set it up to have a reasonably priced book.
Yeah.
Or you maybe get $1 per copy that's sold. And it worked really well. And I was able to get those stories to the kids I cared about and who I really wrote for. So over maybe about 3 years, I brought out the books I had been writing as part of my master's thesis.
Okay.
And my son did the illustration, the covers for them, and my sisters helped me with advice for covers for the other two. And it was fun. I do recommend if you decide to self-publish that you do get a good editor and maybe a cover designer. I do think that makes a difference as I've watched other colleagues publish. So that would be my recommendation. But it's so satisfying to to be writing and refining a book and realize this is going to get out. Like, I am actually going to publish it and give it to these young people that I care about. So it's very motivating.
Yes, I'm surprised though that you couldn't find an agent or since you already had so much experience and you had an MFA and everything. It
is a very competitive market.
It is.
It is really, really competitive. So yeah.
I've used small independent publishers. I mean, that were, that was traditional, but it was, and I've used self-publishing as well. So I've been fortunate, but I've never had an agent, and I kind of tried, but at my age, I said, I don't have time for this. So that's not a good excuse. But so how many novels have you published for young people?
So I have 10 biographies.
10, okay.
And then 5 fiction books.
Okay.
Yes. And then because of our Shakespeare camp, we started publishing our scripts because we had used them, many of them like 3 times over the years. We're on our 24th year this year. So because they've been road tested, I thought, well, this could help other people who want to do Shakespeare with young people. It's just an abridged script. So it just cuts it to about an hour and a half, which I think modern audiences.
Right. Yeah. Hamlet's 4 hours long. It's really long. So let's move to this Shakespeare, because that's a whole different. Did you start that as a homeschooling mom to start directing Shakespeare for children, young people?
I did. I have 2 daughters who are very literary, and they wanted to put on plays with their friends. And they had the idea they would write the play. And then when they started, they realized it's too hard. Let's do Shakespeare.
Especially with other people.
Right. Yeah. So we started our very first year. We picked Much Ado About Nothing and pretty much nothing about how to do this. We produced it at the church stage. It was one of those churches that had almost like a cafeteria with a stage at the end. And we had so much fun. I realized being in it was the joy. It turned out to be good. That was a bonus. But just for the kids to be in it and to take on a character and to interact with other characters was golden. So we continued year after year. The troupe grew. At first we did 1 play a year. Then we started doing 2. A lot of volunteer mothers. We kept the cost very low. It was basically to cover rental. But over time, we were able to rent a college stage, which was like a professional stage with prop tables and lights. And it made it so exciting. Many of my young people kind of got the bug for performing after being, in the lights and getting those laughs from the audience. It just was so rewarding.
And it was always Shakespeare?
And always Shakespeare.
Oh, okay. Well, the good thing about Shakespeare is you don't have to pay royalties.
Yes, that is a beautiful.
That's always the good thing. How do you go about editing, cutting it down?
Yes, well, because our group grew, I wanted everyone to have some spoken lines.
All right.
I would try to reduce the large roles, but keep most of the small roles, unless they weren't G-rated. So basically, when you cut down like a Prospero speech, you can often, I realized Shakespeare would repeat things 3 times.
Yeah.
Often you can start with the beginning and end with the end and take out the middle. It's a surprising thing, but modern audiences are not as attuned to being told 3 times the same. So it actually worked, and we were able to cut by maybe 25%.
Okay.
On the scripts. So,
yeah.
And then, of course, we'd test them, and some of the kids would say, hey, that doesn't make sense. I need this line back. And so we'd add it back. And, it was everybody's feedback. It helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't do a play unless you've done it and edited it in the process of the performance, too.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how it's done. What are your most popular ones that you do?
Well, interestingly, Midsummer Night's Dream is incredibly popular.
Yes.
And I avoided it for a while.
Right.
But it was overexposed. I thought, well, everybody knows that one. But when you actually do it, it is so hilarious.
Yes, it is funny.
So I would say that's probably our most popular. But As You Like It is also really fun.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And one year we had way more girls than boys. It was an unusual year, but we knew we wanted to have boys in the roles that got married. But we decided for As You Like It to change the exiled duke to the exiled duchess with her many girls in the woods, and the evil duke was now the evil duchess. And having them as women changed everything. It was so hilarious. Even the parent-child relationships. And if you can imagine an evil duchess, it became a very popular role. So we have done a few things to accommodate, who we have in our troupe. But yeah, it's fun.
So all of these are now available?
Yes, they're all on Amazon, and we call it the Shakespeare Scriptorium.
Okay.
And they're priced at $6.99 to be available for kids. We have a place at the front where the kids can sign each other's names in the book as a keepsake. So that's become part of our troupe, is that you annotate your own script with all the things you need to know, like your props you're going to bring on. But at the end, you have this keepsake of the play that you brought to life. So it's been a lot of fun.
Okay. So did you do theater when you were younger?
I did in high school.
Okay.
I loved it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helped you to have done it. So
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The title of this podcast is Dialogues with Creators. And I tried to talk to people who are creative in different areas. And honestly, I get more writers because that's who I hang out with. But I've had filmmakers and visual artists and musicians as well, and other types of people. And I like to ask the guests how they think about creativity. Do you have a special meaning or way you think about that word that can be kind of overused? And what do you do to develop your own creativity?
Oh, that's a wonderful question.
It's a hard one.
It's hard. There's many orbed answer to this.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I've realized in working with my college students who are very creative people is we want to have a vision for how every person has a unique voice and a unique giftedness. And our role, especially as Christians, is to share with others. It's like a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. So, like with my young people in Shakespeare camp, I'm talking about how we're not going to be nervous when we perform because this is our gift to the audience. And we're loving our neighbor when we perform this way. But in other fields too, in writing, visual arts, music, it is our gift to give to others. And I think if we think about creativity that way, we don't have to be so self-conscious, and we can just, between us and God, think, what do you want me to do? But I do think as a writer, what really motivates me is thinking about my audience. Now I have grandkids, so I'm also thinking about them and the story that I would tell them. So I guess those would be just two insights about creativity that I'd want to share.
That's really nice. Thank you. Yeah, because we get too caught up in the performative and the response or the everything as opposed to the motive, and that the only reason we're doing this is we have the gift and it didn't come from us anyway. So it came from God. Yeah. I noticed on your blog website that you recently went to England. Is that true?
Yes. I was researching my most recent book on Jane Austen. It's called A Quiet Faith. And I'm a big fan, and so is my daughter.
Yeah.
So we traveled together and had a fantastic walking in the footsteps of Jane Austen tour. We started in Bath, where she spent a few years, and they have a wonderful, well-described museum there of Jane Austen. And then we walked the streets. She had lived in 3 different places there, so we found one of the places was now just green grass. It had been destroyed in the Blitz. I didn't realize the Blitz went to Bath too, and not just London. But we started in Bath, and then we went to Winchester, where she's buried. And they had a ball in honor of Jane Austen because it was her 250th birthday. And they held it in the nave of Winchester Cathedral, which used to be one of the largest cathedrals in England. Mm-hmm. And we dressed up in Regency costume.
Yes, I saw that. Pictures.
Oh, yeah. It was so fun.
Wow.
Jane Austen then lived just about 45 minutes outside of Winchester. So we went to the Jane Austen House Museum, which is delightful. That was probably the highlight of our trip. And got to go through this very well-described museum. And then we walked down the road to the church where she worshiped, and then to her brother's home, which was a mansion in the same community. And we went through that as well. So in just a very short time, we got to see so much. And it really helped me with description. Like when you're writing a historical piece, you need to have that atmosphere and the details, like what weeds grew by the side of the road, or what was the landscape like. So it fueled those kind of details for me. Plus, I had a fabulous time. So that was a wonderful memory to share with my daughter. Yeah.
Yes, that is so neat. Was that your first time in England?
No, my daughter lives in Scotland, and and she has 4 kids, so I go over as many times as I can.
Okay.
And then sometimes we're in England together. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to England first time 1997, and then I went back in 98, and I haven't been there since. But it convinced me that every English major needs to go to England. You know, that should just be part of the thing of the curriculum.
I agree.
You can't get it. You can't understand this literature unless you're there. My experience there was, I saw Charles Dickens' house and some other few things, but it wasn't as literary as I would have liked. Although we did go to Bath. So that's a wonderful story, and I'm a little jealous, but it's cool. It's okay. So obviously, Austen is she going to be your number one?
Well, she is. She's selling really well right now.
Yeah.
Because it was her 250th year, I think there was a huge interest in Jane Austen.
Oh, the book that you came out with.
Itself. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yes. And I also love C.S. Lewis and George MacDonald. And I write biographies on them as well. So in relating to like my number one authors, I think it would be a 3-way tie with those. Okay. But I think there is so much that we can learn by reading great authors. Mm-hmm. Those 3 have kind of been my mentors in a sense as I study the craft of writing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite of hers?
For Jane Austen, for years, Persuasion was my favorite. Then when I went back to read all her books again, as I was preparing this biography, and I realized I really like Pride and Prejudice the best. I was surprised, but so I actually changed. And I think maybe at different stages in life, we do change.
Yeah, that would be for me too. I always say Persuasion, but it's very hard to overlook Pride and Prejudice.
Yes. And she wrote that over a 15-year period.
Wow.
Did the first draft, and then she revised and she revised and she revised and she revised. And I think that's part of the reason that it's so good. Mm-hmm. So for all the authors out there, don't despair if it takes 15 years to write that novel. Yeah.
Well, do you have any plans to write something for adult audiences?
I have not. My husband keeps saying we should write murder mysteries together because we love murder mysteries and we watch them on TV.
Yeah.
But Barbara, do you write mysteries?
Yes, I have a series of mysteries.
Yeah.
They're set in a small town in Georgia.
Ooh. So, yeah.
They're more, they're not so much whodunit, cozy kinds of things. They're more about how I don't want to say true crime, but it's more about how it affects the people involved in the crime. It's not about the ins and outs and all the clues and all that much. So
that That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
This is wonderful.
yes, it's been
I got
wonderful
to chat with you.
to talk to
great.
you. All right. So you mentioned earlier that you're teaching at Covenant College.
Yeah.
Do you have 2 classes of comp?
Yes. And this semester I'm off. So
Oh, okay.
yes, last semester I had 2 classes. I had a blast. And I have really appreciated the just the earnestness of this new generation. It has been quite impressive. So I've taught, I'm guessing maybe 9 years now at different institutions, but this has been by far my favorite. It's been
Okay. That's good to know because I think about, well, maybe I should, because I retired after so many years. Should I go back? And I'm not ready to after all those years. But I think sometimes I think, yeah, it would be nice to do it again, once I get my traveling bug out and everything like that from being, retired. So we've been talking with Dr. Joyce McPherson, who is a writer, a Shakespearean theater director, works with young people, and a homeschooling mom, or she was, of 9 children. So I'm kind of amazed that she has time to talk to me. And she's so interesting. And I want you to look for her books on Amazon they sound like they would be great for any young people who need to know more about history. And of course, they all do. And biography is the best way to teach it for children and younger people because they can relate to a human being rather than a big swath of time. And I know Dr. McPherson is very busy, and I'm grateful for her time and what she shared with us about writing, her creativity, her trip, Jane Austen, and so many other things, and Shakespeare as well.
Well, Barbara, thank you for chatting with me today. It's great to make your acquaintance. And because we live close to each other, we need to meet in person now.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And we will work that out. All right. Hope that you enjoyed this and hope you listen to the next one. Goodbye.
Right. Thanks. Bye-bye.